Welcome to the Mortgage Podcast, where we give tactics, strategies, and inspiration to get you to 10 plus loans per month. We talk a lot about how to make a ton of money in mortgage while also being happy and thriving in your personal life. If you want to be a mortgage millionaire, you're in the right place. Welcome back to the Mortgage Podcast. My name's Todd Screama, and I'm your host. And I jump on here once a week and hey, what is one tactic that can help a loan officer get to 10 loans a month? And it's a big topic because in some ways it's like life. You know, sometimes you look at it like raising kids and you're like, oh, it's really complicated, it's difficult. And sometimes you look at it and say, I just got to do these three things. So this is a little more technical in nature. And when we get a borrower, what this podcast is about is getting one more deal from each loan application. And I'm going to tell you how I did this as a $140 million producer. And I hope that you can take one or two of these and incorporate it into your business. So that is the goal here. I'm going to tell a story that is one of these tactics. Just do it so you can start thinking this way. So years ago, I'm maybe a few years into being a loan officer. This couple comes in and they were both doctors. And I was a little intimidated because this is 30 years ago. Their combined income was, $300,000-$400,000. Like, it was a lot. And I could tell when they came in. So realize when I started selling in mortgages, I may have only been in the mortgage business 2 or 3 years, but I had been selling since I was 17. So I wasn't unwise to how things worked. And they came in and they're kind of talking to me like a shopper, like a shopper does. And they are like, hey, we're probably going to meet with 3 other lenders. And, they're kind of talking that way. Although they were nice and pleasant. So I'm self-talking myself and I'm like, you know what? These people, unless I do something kind of drastic, these people are going to, I'm going to spend an hour and a half with them and I'm never going to get paid. And I like them, right? So we get through the loan application. I do my loan presentation. I go through the loan application. We do some scenarios and they had made a couple offers on houses. So they were going to be in contract in 2 or 3 days. I said, hey guys, before we wrap all this up, and I literally just took all the paperwork and put it in a pile because back then we weren't paperless and I was meeting in person. And I said, can I address something that is kind of prickly? And they both looked at each other and then looked at me and they said, yeah. I said, you guys are done an amazing job. You spent 10 years each going to doctor school. You're both making a high 6-figure income, but there's a problem. You guys are not saving a dime. You guys literally are depositing, and I used the actual figure was $120,000 a month to your checking account, and you're scrambling, having to save this month to come up with 5% down payment. You have no money in retirement, almost zero. And it's sad because I can show you how to become multimillionaires. Will you give me 5 minutes to show you this? And they looked at each other like, okay, that's kind of rough, but yeah. So I just did the math. I said, look at your max contribution to your retirement plans are this. That would be easy for you to do. And for them, it was like they could put away a few grand a month. So I just took out my financial calculator. I did the math. Now you can do this on ChatGPT, by the way. And I just said, look at if you save $3,000 a month and it grows at 10% a year, your net worth by the time you guys are 55 is $9 million. And I just paused. And they looked at me and they're like, are you right? I said, yeah, it's math. It's $9 million if it compounds at 9% a year. The average stock market's 10%. So yes, these are real numbers. Do you guys know anybody that has $9 million when they're 55 years old? And they're like, we don't know a single person. We both grew up poor. I said, well, great. You have a chance to change that. You have a chance to be the one in your family. And so that is a part of what I'm going to cover called plus 1%. I find one thing that can really rock their world. And towards the end of the loan application, usually I bust it out. So I'm going to go down kind of a checklist of things that is going to allow you to get another deal or maybe keep the deal in front of you. That customer, they thanked me profusely. I was like, hey, they're either going to leave and never use me or they're going to take my advice and they're going to actually take action. So they thanked me. They did not shop me. They got into contract and I closed the loan. And that particular customer came back to me 5 years later and I refinanced them. That's what we're trying to do here. We're trying to build your business through the loan application. And I am going to articulate for you, there's about 20 things I could cover.
I'm going to cover 5 or 6 that I think are the most effective things that you can change and do to get the customer in front of you and then get one more. And so pay attention, because like anything else, this stuff is, too often in sales, we are fly by the seat of our pants. And I will tell you that process beats talent. So I'm going to come across on this pretty process driven. I will tell you that, producers that close 50 million, 80 million, 100 million, 200 million, I've coached thousands of them. They are process driven. And it oftentimes is the difference between someone closing 20 million and someone closing 60 million. So pay attention to this. The first one is something that I preach all the time and very few people do. And it's at a point in my life where I'm angry about it. It's the professional loan presentation. When I was 2 years in the business, I went to By Referral Only. That's a consulting company that was ran by Joe Stumpf, and he had someone teach the professional loan application. For realtors, we would call this a listing presentation. For realtors dealing with buyers, it's called a buyer's presentation most commonly. So this is what a lender uses to present to their person. It's a psychology-based presentation to develop rapport and trust. And so I'm not going to go through it on here because that's a whole nother class. I know I've got YouTube videos on this where I'm giving a presentation. So there's no lack of content out there. I know Jim Reed, our head coach, has on YouTube him giving his presentation. So there's lots of examples of this. I would encourage you to do the handout and to follow it and to practice it until you sound like me or Jim or Robin Lavasser or one of those great people. And everyone's style is a little bit different, but it is a step-by-step sequential way of developing rapport and helping to close the client so they do business with you. It programs them for referrals. It does all kinds of things. So that is, if you think about it like this, if you were going into open heart surgery, I would like the doctor to present to me exactly what he's going to do, what the risks are, how long it's going to take, what the recovery is like. Like, I need to cover the stuff. And when you don't cover the process and you don't have some sort of presentation, then we wing it. And then we're like, I don't know why they went somewhere else. They always go somewhere else because you weren't that good. They didn't see value. I don't mean you're not a good person. Don't hear that. You weren't good enough. They didn't see value. It's very hard to do a presentation and practice it 50 times and not come across really good, really professional, and you're on your A game and it's obvious. The first tip I have is that do a great presentation. I call it a professional loan presentation. Now, number 2, this is a very simple one, but very powerful. And again, nobody does it. So at the end of every loan application, this is a Todd original, by the way, no one taught me this. At the end of the loan application, I say, guys, how did this go? How did it feel for you? Oh my God, we came in here so nervous. Now we love you. This is great. Listen, I've got to call the real estate agent Jay in just a minute, and I would like to call him on speakerphone. And I would like to ask you for 2 favors. Number 1, I want you to your permission to talk about the deal we're putting together in general. Is that okay with you to share some personal information with Jay on the phone? I'm not talking about your income. I'm talking about like how much money are you putting down on the house and things like that. Yes, Todd, that's okay. Now, secondly, if you like this meeting, like you just said, I would like you to rave about me a little bit. Jay is a client. We have done business together, but I want him to keep sending me business. So I need you to tell him how good I am. Is that fair? I would chuckle a little bit. They'd say, yes, I'd dial up Jay. If I got Jay's voicemail, I would do the same thing. If I got him live, I would do the same thing. Let's say I got his voicemail. Hey, Jay, it's Todd Scream. I'm here with Cindy and Mark Smith. Thank you so much for sending them to me. We're just finishing up our meeting. It's about 1:30 on Wednesday. And guys, what did you think of the meeting? Oh, we love this guy. Jay, you need to send him more deals. He's the best salesperson we ever met with. We were so nervous coming in here and he's awesome. Great, guys. I really appreciate that. And you're definitely using Jay to buy a house, right? Oh, yeah, we love Jay. You told us that's very important. We're going to use Jay. Great. Jay, as normal, I'm going to send over the pre-qualification letter and exactly how to write the offer. As soon as we're done here, you'll have it within 2 hours. Make it a great day. Send me more great clients like these 2. Talk to you soon. I want a third-party testimonial, either live or on voicemail, to the realtor. That all of this, a lot of these things are getting the realtor used to using you over and over again. I talked to one of my loan reps yesterday, and through our Jolt process, we set up a meeting with an agent that did 170 transactions. And she told me, she said, Todd, you know what I realized after meeting with all these top producers is none of them are really tied to their lender. None of them are really tied to them. And I said, what do you mean? She says, well, they might use somebody, but when I really get down and dirty, they're not really addicted to the lender. Like they just use them because that's who they know. They're not super impressed. So this impresses the agent. Okay. Number 3, ask for referrals on a piece of paper and then leave the room. So it goes something like this. Hey, Mark and Cindy, I've got to go make some copies and check on something. My business thrives on referrals. I can help people refinance home loans. I can help them buy homes. In front of you, it asks for 3 referrals. If you can sit here for just a moment while I run this errand, if you could put down a name and a phone number and how you know the person of a coworker, a family member, or a friend that may be in need of my services, I would deeply appreciate it. And it asks for their email and their phone number. So if you feel comfortable, take a minute and just write 2 or 3 names down. I would appreciate it. I'll literally be back in 3 minutes. Okay. Now, no one wants to do that because they feel uncomfortable asking for business. If you've earned the business by this time in the loan application, this is easy. They've already said you've blown them away. You did a great presentation. You called Jay on the phone. They just told him, they just raved about you. So this is not uncomfortable if you did a thorough job. Not try and take a loan app in 20 minutes and say, send everything online. Okay. That's not customer service. Plus 1% is number 4. Plus 1%. This is where people have a hard time. I told you my beginning story where they just weren't saving any money to retirement, yet they're making a bunch of money. That's an example. Was a very obvious way to me to change their life and try and secure their business by offering more value. In that case, it was a little bit prickly because I'm basically saying you guys are spending all your money and that's stupid. But I was right. There's no one that wouldn't say that's not correct. And I was willing to say it. That's a risk, but they really appreciated it. Okay. I can do a personal budget with someone that is struggling with budgeting, or maybe they're super nervous about their payments. I can do someone's personal budget in about 15 minutes. It's just already got all their stuff in the computer. I just write it down on a piece of paper, the budgeting form that we use, the personal family budget, which most of you have. And I just say, this is with your new mortgage. Here's how much money you got left over. Hey, you can actually, with the tax deductions, add more money to your 401k. Hey, after you have this home for a few years and we have some equity, let's pay off all this debt you got, right? So I can do some simple budgeting and financial planning. Oftentimes that it blows people away. This is a subtle one, but you got to pay attention. I've had couples come in and they disagreed about things. And sometimes it's the house that they're looking at. So I will help them through that and say, look, I can tell Mike, you really like this house because it's got a shop in the back. Cindy, you don't seem too hot. Now, I'm not the realtor, but I'm just telling you feelings I got. Am I right? Right? And try and help them find, common ground with how to make this big decision called buying a house. I might bring up rental properties. Someone's in really good financial shape. I'm like, have you ever considered buying rentals? Here's a class I teach on buying rental property. Let's go over a couple ideas. Like this could really be something that adds 1 or 2 or 3 million to your retirement year. So anything that you can do in order to blow them away is what I'm talking about. I've given away books. Sometimes people have a special needs kid. I'll go out and buy them a book about it. Like plus 1%. And people say that, but we don't do it. And it's just a matter of paying attention and asking some questions. Now, the last one that I will say is, again, something that nobody does. I've never seen someone do this. It's the simplest thing in the world. So I'm setting up the file. I've got to do a pre-qualification letter. So I do that. That's pretty easy. I go into my mortgage software and in the conversation log, I write an overview of the type of loan they're doing, how much they're putting down, all that. And then I have a section where I tell them exactly how to write an offer. It's in accordance with how they would write a real estate contract. So if it's in California, I say, I just take a real estate contract. I did this one time and said, It asks for how many days to close escrow, title and escrow fees, who's paying that. Do we need points? Do we not need points? If we don't get points, does it blow the deal? Do they need a buy down? All of these things. So I tell the realtor exactly how to write the offer. If it's a down payment assistance program, I'm going to tell them to write it for 45 days. So here's what happened over time. Agents got addicted to it because they didn't have to call me when they're writing an offer. They knew exactly that the offer they were writing matched how I did their LE, so, or good faith estimate, we used to call it. So everything matches. There's no mystery. They don't have to call me. And every single time I went to a realtor's office, they would have a binder for the escrow, right? That letter that I just cut and pasted from my mortgage software after it was in the conlog, cut and pasted it to email and sent it to the agent. That email was always in the file. So, I would have people tell me, Todd, I just hate using other lenders. I'll say, why? They'll say things like, you're just so organized. Your follow through is great. I don't have to call you, right? And I was taking away all their pain. So those are 5 things that you can do to either secure the realtor more through the transaction and or secure the borrower more. If you're smart, you will do all 5 of these things and perfect them so that you get the agent addicted to how you do business, how good you are, and how easy you make their life. For the borrower, you've got to make an impact. That's why so often I tell people that an in-person loan application is worth 10 points, an online loan application or a Zoom application is worth 1 point. Why? Because the ability to close the loan on a percentage basis goes way up when you meet them in person and you do these things that I'm talking about. This is about being a true professional, running a practice like a doctor's office would or a lawyer's office would. And it's so often the difference between someone closing 2 loans a month or closing 7 loans a month. So trust me, take this to the bank. I'm telling you, all 5 of these tactics work. They're not that hard. You could learn all 5 of them. If you worked on them 15 minutes a day for a month, you would have them all done. And I guarantee you, it's a huge difference in your income and in your overall satisfaction level with your business. Okay. Thank you guys very much. Please send it to a friend, one loan officer that would appreciate this and get value from it. That's how this stuff spreads. Make it a great week.